That night, the bass throbbed through the floorboards, a primal rhythm vibrating up into Tamaria's bones. She'd slipped into the party, a vision in Dillard's clearance rack magic. The silk shirt, a whisper against her skin, ignited something primal. Forget the price. This wasn't just an outfit, it was a revelation. The scent of her perfume, the heady mix of jasmine and something darker, something dangerous, clung to the air. A tangible echo of her allure, a knowing spark, a dare veiled in a deep, molten embers of her gaze, eyes like liquid sunsets. Dusted with the night's profound darkness, promised secrets and defiance. She moved with a feline grace, each curve, each deliberate sway, a breathtaking display of power, veiled in vulnerability. She wasn't merely amazing, she was glowing, a wildfire in human form, leaving a trail of captivated gazes and shattered composures in her wake. Arriving prematurely, she entered the gathering, and her gaze immediately collided with Kofi's. Drawn in by an irresistible force, she gracefully approached him. He was perched on the kitchen counter, a dark silhouette, black shirt, crimson shorts, a king in casual regalia. The words hung between them, thick and suffocating as the humidity in the room. There can't be two kings on a throne. The casual cruelty of it, the way his smirk tasted of arrogance and something else. Fear. Domination. Or was it a subtle tremor of insecurity, a fragile ego masking itself in bold pronouncements? He had elaborated, leaving her adrift in the turbulency of her own thoughts, a familiar, comfortable place, yet now charged with the dangerous undercurrent. God and the devil? Man and a woman? Bah. The queen had her own throne, a seat of power, a right to reign beside him, not beneath him. Why this cryptic threat? Meanwhile, the girls, their eyes glittering with a mixture of envy and something far more sinister, buzzed around like wasps. Their carefully constructed lives, a blend of Africans and African American heritage, a fragile piece they couldn't afford to disrupt. She'd faced jealous women before, weathered their petty storms. Her son's father, a community prize bull, had been a similar experience. Every woman's desires, yet she'd never competed, not for a moment. She knew his worth, knew what hollow promises he'd offered, and refused to battle over scraps of his affection. But this was different. This was a challenge, a raw, primal clash of wills played out in the suffocating heat of a crowded kitchen. The bass pulsed again, a heartbeat of defiant mirroring the furious rhythm pounding in her chest. This wasn't just about a throne. This was about power, respect, and the simmering war between a woman who knew her worth and valuable and a man desperately trying to control her. The bass vibrated through Tamaria's chest, a physical thrumming that matched the frantic energy of the dance floor. Body swayed, a kaleidoscope of motion under the harsh glare of the spotlights. Laughter, shouts, and the clinging of glasses formed a chaotic symphony. Later, in a dimly lit room off to the right, the air thick with the scent of Shio and desire, Tamaria kissed him. This was a reenactment, a feverish replay of a scene she'd witnessed earlier. But this was different. This was raw, amplified by the throbbing music and the nearness of unseen bodies. His climax was swift, anticlimactic, whiskey dick, or something more. A question mark hung in the humid air, heavy with unspoken doubts. The silence clawed at Tamaria's ears, a vacuum left by the abrupt, sickening thud of the announcement. Before she could grasp, a venomous hiss, thick with the malice, slithered through the murmuring crowd, accusations raw and reeking of betrayal. A fiancé, her fiancé, allegedly seduced, her ruby-encrusted boots stolen. The scent of spilled wine and simmering rage rose from downstairs, a physical storm mirroring the tempest in her soul. A lie, a calculated smear, a desperate attempt to poison Tamaria's very essence that night. But then a hand, callous yet gentle, settled on her shoulder. The weight of it, a grounding anchor against the roaring sea of animosity. Not just friends, but a fierce, loyal protector, their eyes burning with righteous fury. They moved like shadows, reclaiming her boots, the soft leather, the stark contrast to the harsh whispers of their loyalties, a searing brand against the encroaching darkness, a defiant flame in the suffocating night. Back on the couch, Tamaria cradled in Kofi's arms. Then her best friend's voice cut through the undermath. "I can tell he loves you," she murmured, her eyes reflecting the glow of the television. Then came another confession, a bombshell whispered between her future husband and her best friend. A brief, sexless encounter. Tamaria swallowed hard, the taste of betrayal bitter on her tongue. A lie she suspected, but one she was choosing to believe for now. The air crackled with the tension that had simmered for weeks, finally igniting. Tamaria, a wild fire in silk sheets, arched beneath Kofi. Her breath, a ragged whisper against his skin. The scent of her body oil, a heady intoxicant. He tasted the salt of her sweat, felt the frantic rhythm of her heart pounding, a primal beat against his chest. It wasn't just bodies intertwined. It was a collision of wills, a desperate hunger that transcended mere lust. Kofi, haunted by a past he couldn't outrun, found solace in the raw, untamed energy she possessed, a burning star against his simmering darkness. Each touch was a confession, each moan a shared surrender to a need threatened to consume them both. They weren't just finding a rhythm, they were forging a molten bond, forged in the heat of their desperate, beautiful entangle. The sheets tangled around them, still warm with the aftermath of their brutal coupling. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of sweat and arousal, a stark contrast to the sudden chill that snaked through Tamaria as he spoke. "Would you be willing to share me?" he asked, his voice a low growl that vibrated through the mattress. The question hung between them, barbed and sharp. She knew the source of his inquiry, her bisexuality, a secret weapon she hadn't expected to wield in this arena. The idea of such openness within the confines of a committed relationship was alien, terrifying. "No," she whispered, the words catching her throat, a fragile dam against a rising tide of uncertainty. He laughed, a sound both mocking and strangely seductive. The muscles in his chest rippling as he shifted, naked and brazen on the bed. One leg draped carelessly over the other, his raw masculinity laid bare, the moonlight catching the damp sheen of his skin. His elbow propped him up, his hand casually resting near his groin, a smirk played on his lip that held more than a grain of truth. "Bisexual, huh?" he murmured, the words laced with a dangerous playfulness. The casualness of his confession, the nakedness of his body, the sheer audacity of it all sent shivers down her spine. But was it genuine or a calculated risk, a test of her boundaries, a prelude to something darker? Was this man sprung between her truly open to sharing himself with anyone, male or female, or was this a predatory game cloaked in casual acceptance? The question hung unanswered, a cold serpent in the aftermath of their passion. Tamaria had already unveiled intimate and potent details of her life, revealing a stark contrast in their backgrounds. His upbringing, he recounted, involved a privileged existence supported by a retinue of domestic staff who catered to his every whim, even pressing his clothes. In contrast, Tamaria's childhood memories were interwoven with the humble reality of performing household chores, a familiar duty presented by her mother as shared responsibilities amongst her and her siblings. While Tamaria